you're saying now to yourself, so why are we in Gatzen's car driving around? What's he got up his sleeve now? What I have up my sleeve is quick tips. Wait a minute. And speed. Now, quick tips. I want to talk to you about dynamic range. It's very important to me because it's the basis of my philosophy for drum design. It's getting the most out of something, just like a car. Performance. With the drums, it's about extending the range of tone, volume, and sensitivity of the instrument. That means that, yes, it affects the feel of the instrument. It affects you both physically and psychologically. It's important stuff. Cars, it's about horsepower. It's like, how fast can I get the energy from this gas pedal to that engine, to those back wheels, and how long will it take me to get to 0 to 60? Speed. Yeah, you know? And does it feel good? Yeah, it feels great. So, dynamic range is really important. So let's head back to the studio and talk about dynamic range, and at the same time, let's try to tweak a few more, a little more horsepower out of your drum set. What do you think? And by the way, I don't know about you, but I like fast. Okay, let's review what we talked about in the car. Dynamic range is the range of control you have over tone, volume, and sensitivity of the drums. It's a measurement between how quietly, how softly you can play the drum and how loud you can play the drum. The farther apart those two measurements are, the greater the dynamic range. And dynamic range makes the drum feel great. It's like power, like horsepower, right? I mean, there's a big difference between a 100 horsepower Volkswagen Beetle and a 500 horsepower, let's say, Corvette or Porsche. I know which one would excite me. How about you? Look at, whether you're tweaking for horsepower or dynamic range, it comes down to this here. Small details make big differences. You've heard me say that before. But here it is right in our face again. Because dynamic range is achieved through the accumulation of successful events or experiments that add up to something much, much bigger. Our goal here is to isolate the drum shell from inertia, forces that interrupt its vibration. That's what we're after. And it's just science here. The drum shell is a very, very sensitive instrument, as sensitive as an acoustic guitar or a fine violin. And in this demo, I'm going to prove to you, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the drum shell is a very, very sensitive instrument. Check this out. Take one of your drums. A 12-inch drum is a good size. Hold it by the hoop or the tom bracket on it. Lift it up and give it a hit. 2 hits, 3 hits. Okay, now put it on its side, on a table or a floor, and hit it again. Whoa, where'd that sound go? Let's make a comparison. The sheer weight of the shell, the inertia from that, on its side, laying on its side, is actually killing the shell. Shows you just how sensitive a drum shell is. Convinced? I hope so, because I'm going to do one more demo, and if you aren't convinced by now, you're going to be convinced after that dynamic range is dynamite. If you have a leg floor tom like this, then you want to put a shock absorber between the leg and the floor. You can do this easily. Pick up some foam, make these little squares, put them underneath the leg, and you won't believe the difference in sound. Now, let me show you. The legs are on the floor now. Check this out. Now I'm going to put them on the pads. Get them on the floor here. A little careful. Cool. All right? Now listen to this. Astounding, huh? Unbelievable resonance, but it's more than sound. The feel of the drum is completely different. When the head vibrates like this, The head has a sponginess to it. It feels like there's more power in the stick. It feels like the stick goes right into the head. It's a great feel. You can make these at home, or you can purchase. There's commercial products that accomplish the same goal. Now, with today's technology, most kits come with suspension systems now, like this. And I'd like to discuss a few ways that you can tweak your suspension system to get a few more horsepower out of your kit. Okay, let's talk tom arms. Real exciting, huh? There are generally two types of tom arms that fit into hardware stands. And the first one is an L arm, which you call a vertical arm. Companies like DW and Tama use them. And then we have a straight arm, horizontal arm, Yamaha, Pearl, okay? And what I found is that by positioning the drums on different parts of the arm, I would experience different results in the sound of the drum. So let me demonstrate the Yamaha. Right now, this is at the very end of this arm. It's right on the edge. Let's listen to it. Okay, now I'm going to move this arm. I'm going to move this arm right to the inside edge. Okay, let's listen to that. Now, granted, these are subtle changes, but the second sound to me is more open, more resonance, and also there's a little more what I call mid-range sustain. It's when the frequencies open up right after you hit it. It's ba wow, ba wow. And the first one was ba wow, shorter. So I would go for the fatter sound, and I would mount this right here. Now, it doesn't mean that push it all the way in on the arm, you're going to get the best sound. It varies. You just got to mess with it. And you got to come up with, well, all the possibilities. And you might find that all the way out on your particular drum, whether your particular head works better. So you have to experiment. On the DW, I found that if I push this and let it rest on the lock, it dries this drum out a little more than I like it to be. So again, experimentation, but well worth it, because you take this little detail and you add it to all the other things you're doing to increase dynamic range, and you get big results. A gentleman named Gary Gauger, a brilliant inventor, introduced the first suspension system for drums over, well, 20 years ago, called percussion rims. I'm sure you've heard of it. Since then, his patent has expired, and even though Gary was able to maintain high quality in his product, it's now in the open market, and many manufacturers are producing it with questionable quality, I'm sorry to say. So I'm going to show you how to tweak a percussion-style rim to get more dynamic range out of your tom-toms. When you install a percussion rim on onto your drum, you want to line these grommets up perfectly with the tension rods. Now, see, these two are right on point, right? Now, these two, though, are pretty far off. They're pushed away from the tension rod. If you force this onto the tension rod, it applies pressure to the tension casing and eventually to the shell, lowering your dynamic range. Come on, we're looking for horsepower here. So let me show you how to tweak your percussion rim to make it fit perfectly on this drum. All right, I removed the head so I can show you the tension rods here. See, these are lined up perfectly right here. See that? Bing, bing. Okay. These, however, are way off. So now you got to do your Hulk thing. Just grabs it between your fingers like this. Okay. Hands and okay, here we go. It won't break. No. And bend it until they all fit perfectly like that. You know, we drummers are over-tighteners. We over-tighten everything, and rightfully so. We don't want our drums falling apart when we're playing, right? But there's one thing we don't want to over-tighten, and that's the snare drum basket. The reason for that is, as you tighten it, it distorts the hoop, knocks the bottom head out of tune, but even worse, applies pressure to the shell and dries the drum out. So, check it out. You want to put just enough tension, can't be loose so it bounces around, just enough tension so that there's a little bit of pressure on the outside part of the rim. Watch. See that pop out? Watch now. Hear it snap back in? That's just a little bit of tension. And that is the way to maximize tone, vibration, sound, all that stuff, that dynamic range stuff in your snare drum. There's another advantage I discovered. Check this out. After I play for a while, I like to, do a quick tuning of my drum, bring it back up to pitch. So I go around, and as soon as I get up here, it's like, oh, I can't, jeez, I got to move my snare drum out, reset everything. So here's the cool. Ready? Bong! Just out of the basket, take these two lugs, bam, back in, snap it back in. Easy, fast, isn't that cool?